Tiffany, also known as Naturally Chic, where we believe that chic is simply how you construct classy, so do it naturally. If this is your first time watching, welcome. And if you are consistent and come around but you haven't subscribed, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Today it's going to be a little story time, if you will, about how I met my husband. It is Valentine's Day, so this is a shout out to my husband. I love you, babe. So if you want to know the juicy details, keep watching. So, present day, my husband and I in April will be married 10 years. In August of this year, we would have known each other for 19 years. Did we date all that time? No. We dated fairly quickly, so let's get into the story. In 2005, I went to work for a company. I'll just say a company. And my husband worked there, which I didn't know. I met him when I started. But before I started, the Lord told me, he said, you're going here to establish yourself, not to stay. I'm like, okay, I know what that means. It means I'm not going to stay long or whatever. Well, it was almost 5 years. I guess I had a lot of establishing to do. But I started August of 2005, and I met my husband the same month because we worked in that same department. And we hit it off very well. We hit it off so well. We would talk, laugh, talk about God. If anybody knows me, I'm always going to talk about God. I'm a Jesus girl, of course. So I'm going to always talk about God. I'm always finding the good things in things, but I'm always going to listen. I should have been a counselor because I have always counseled people. People are led to me, and whatever the Spirit gives me to tell them, I tell them. So we hit it off. Mind you, I'm single with 2 daughters at the time. My oldest was 5, and my middle one was 4. My husband was married and with no children. Okay, so that's our setup. We get to know each other. We laugh, we talk, we hang out at work. Nothing. When I tell you, we never crossed that boundary. We never crossed that boundary. I don't believe in dating married people, married men. I don't care if you're attracted to me or not. I was not that desperate. And so in the 5 years that we were working together, people would have different things for singles around the office, and they would never invite me. And so one time I asked one of the guys, I was like, why you don't invite me? You have a singles mixer, and why you didn't invite me? He was like, Tiffany, you married. And I'm like, excuse me? I said, I'm single. He was like, no, you married. I was like, y'all tell him I'm single. They was like, no, Tiffany's single. And I said, why did you think that I was married? He said, because you carry yourself like a married woman. You're not out here talking about getting no man, finding a mate, da 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 da. And I'm like, so I went home, and I was I went home and I was telling my mom, because my parents had moved in with me. That's another story. But my parents had moved in with me, and she said, well, yeah. She said, you don't seem desperate. And I'm like, I'm not. My mother once told me, she said, if you're going to enjoy being married, you first have to enjoy being single. So this is for the single ladies. If you truly want to enjoy your married life, enjoy your single life, because that means you're not looking like, oh, what did I miss, blah, blah, blah. Enjoy your single life. I traveled with my children. I had fun. I enjoyed life. And I guess that's why people thought that I was married, because I wasn't around talking about, I need a man. Did I want and desire somebody? Yes. And did I date? Yes. However, I'm not for the foolishness, and I'm not for the fluff. If you wasn't up to that was a go. And my standards wasn't, and they still aren't high, but one thing is going to be respect. It's going to be God. It's going to be my family. All of those wrapped up into one. So, my, so what happened? So I was like, okay. I said, well, how am I going to ever find somebody if everybody thinks I'm married? She was like, well, whoever's supposed to find you will find you. And I'm like, she said, because you're not supposed to be looking anyway. Key, you're not supposed to be looking anyway. They're supposed to find you. The Bible says, he that finds the wife find the good thing and obtain the favor. So you're his good thing. He's supposed to be looking for you. But you're supposed to be in a place to be found. And the Lord will lead you. He really will lead you. But in that time, in that season, he told me that he was going to prepare me for marriage. And I'm like, he was like, I'm going to prepare you to share your space, because you're used to sharing your space with little people. And then when my parents moved in, I had to learn how to share my space with adults. And that was I had to share my space with adults, because little people, you can like go, with adults, you can't talk to them like that. So fast forward, my husband had they had their son in 2006. And then I got pregnant with my baby girl in 2008. Now, I was there for, we did baby shower and all that. So when he found out that they were pregnant with expecting his son, we were there for that. When he found out I was expecting my daughter, just see how we were all intertwined. So fast forward, 2008, I believe, his wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And, she was doing good, breathing and all that. And then in 2010, it came back. But let me reverse a little bit. So the beginning of 2010, the Lord told me, start packing up your desk. I said, okay, Lord, where are we going? I have an ear for God. So where are we going? Where are we preparing for? So I saw this position in the online, and I applied for it. And it was on the same exit that I was, a nicer building, all the nice things. And I was like, okay, making a little bit more money. And so I applied for it. And it was between me and another lady. They really liked us both. And I said, okay, well, Lord, this is it. You told me to, pack up my desk. This is it. And 2 months, almost 2 months to the T went by. And I'm like, why is this company not calling me? They said it was between me and somebody else. It shouldn't take this long. So one day I was online and I saw this position. And I said, oh, I got all the qualifications. I said, but I'm going to get this other job, so I'm not going to even apply. That same day that I saw the position, I reached out to the recruiter. And I asked the recruiter, I said, okay, I haven't heard from you in a while. Have you all made a decision? And he said, yes, we went with the other person. And he was trying to console me, thought I was, upset. And I was saying to myself, will you hurry about the phone so I can go and apply for that job that I just saw earlier for somebody to grab it up? And so he was like, can I keep it? I was like, yeah, you can keep my number. Do whatever you got to do. You can keep my number. Let me go so I can apply for this job. So I went back to my desk. I applied for this job. And in 20 minutes, they were contacting me. In 20 minutes, they were contacting me. They asked me for an interview or over the phone interview. Okay, did that. Then they asked for me an in-person interview. I did that. I was like, okay, I got this job. I know it was the next exit. And I was like, okay, it's the same vicinity. We good. Making more money. We good. Less stress. We good. Mind you, the Lord told me that he sent me there to establish me, not for it to be, forever. I'm like, okay. So we went to, let me think, what happened? So that was in March of 2010. Right after I interviewed for that position, my husband left the company. So Stephen left the company. And 2 weeks to the day that he left, I got offered the position. Well, I got offered the position right after he left. So then I left 2 weeks after he did. Didn't think nothing about it. I kept in touch, checking on him, because in that time that he left, so in the time that he left, um, his wife's cancer came back, and that was a rough year for him. And so I would always check on, text him, and check on him and Joshua, see how they're doing. Joshua at the time was 3. And so I would check on them and see how they were doing. How was your wife doing? He would keep me abreast of what was going on with them, all of the things. So that was that. But let me backtrack. The year before, my mom had gotten sick. So 2009, my mom had gotten sick, and she had a rare, she had got diagnosed with a rare cancer. I'm sorry, y'all, my sinuses are acting up. She had got diagnosed with a rare cancer. And in that diagnosis, it was fast growing, but it was in her uterus, so it's called uterine sarcoma, and it's still rare. And so they did surgery in 2009, and she was doing so much better. They took everything, so they didn't have to, they got it all. So they didn't have to do chemo. They said they didn't have to do chemo or radiation, and because she was so healthy. My mother had never been cut on, never been sick, had 6 babies naturally, all the things, and she was an avid exercise. I mean, she would exercise, run, do all the things. And so she had gotten better. So then in 2010, all that took place. I started a new job. I would check on Stephen and Joshua to see how they were doing, how was his wife doing, and then so here comes 2011. 2011, I think I was online, and they were giving condolences to Stephen. And I had talked to him, and they had started trying to do treatment, and it just wasn't working. So they were expecting her to pass, but I would check on them and do all that. But I saw it online, so I called him, and I said, I just heard about your wife. And he was just like, yeah. He said he had just dropped Joshua off at school, and he sat in the parking lot, and I sat on the phone, and we talked, and I just let him, let him be him. And so that year went through, and then my mom, around July of 2011, her cancer came back, almost to the day that it came, that we found out the last time. So her cancer came back, and she would always ask me, have you checked on Stephen? Because she knew Stephen, because of course we worked together, but Stephen would make cobblers. And so my mom would always get cobblers from him and take them to our family in Tennessee. So every time we had any function, cobblers were coming with us. And then he also did laptops. So my dad would get a laptop and all that. So that's how they knew him. And so when she passed and all that, she would always ask me, you check on Stephen? I'm like, yeah, I'm checking on him. I check on him. She said, have you been by? I said, no, I haven't. I said, because I know Stephen likes me. I said, and I never want to cross that because I treasure our friendship. So, and if you all see this is how I stop my camera and all that through my watch. But, so fast forward, it's 2011. My mom had gotten cancer. Her cancer come back, and when we went to the hospital, they let us know her cancer was back. They could do surgery again, but this time that she would have to be on chemo and radiation for the rest of her life. And because of where the cancer was, she would have to be on dialysis. So you take a almost 56-year-old lady, woman, never sick, and now you're diagnosed with a rare cancer, and then you're gonna have to be on this all your life. And she was just like, I can't do that. And I'm just like, what you mean? She said, Tiffany, you're not married, and one day you will be married, and I don't want you to have to take care of me for the rest of your life. And I'm like, hey, that's a no-brainer. And she was just like, no. She said, the Lord heals me, he heals me. If he doesn't, he'll heal me on that side. And I had to, I can talk about it now and not be sad, because I know that the Lord, it's all appointed us, you know, we're all appointed death at sometime in our life. And so the year went on, my mom got sicker. And the thing is, I told God, I said, Lord, don't let her suffer. And she didn't. I think she was down maybe 3 or 4 days before she passed. So the new year came in. We got into 2012. And January 2nd, my mom passed away. That was a rough day. And so because I am the next to the oldest of 6, and I had my children, my mom was the baby of 15. But she was the baby, and she was treated like the baby. So because of that, I had to, you know, with my aunt's help and all that, we got everything together, went back home to do services and all of that. And in all of that time, I posted online on Facebook about my mom, all of the things. I didn't have time to call because I had to get so much stuff in order. I had so many people leaning on me, depending on me. I didn't have time to reach out to anybody. So that's where Stephen found out about my mom. And so, mind you, every holiday he would make cobblers. So fast forward, I was dating somebody, he was dating someone. And Thanksgiving of 2012 roll around. And Thanksgiving 2012 roll around, and he called me and he said, I have something for you. I have a gift for you. And I was like, okay. So some of my family members were coming down just to spend that Thanksgiving with me. So they came down, and he showed up at my house. And he had bought a cobbler. He said, I was thinking about Mom. This is your first year without her, and I wanted to do something special for you. And I was like, oh, thank you. And we sat in my kitchen and we talked 5 hours. Mind you, I was supposed to take my kids skating. This was the day before Thanksgiving. I was supposed to take my kids skating. And because Stephen and I talked in my kitchen for 5 hours, I forgot. They didn't forget, but I forgot. But in that talking, I realized I missed my friend. I truly missed my friend. I mean, I really missed him. We talked, we laughed, we talked. And every day after that, we talked. Mind you, I'm seeing somebody, he's seeing somebody. We talked. But so that was November, the end of November. The end of almost going into the new year, I told the Lord, I said, I'm not taking Mr. X into the new year with me, because I knew the Lord was preparing me for marriage. And to who? I don't know. Didn't know, but I knew it wasn't Mr. X. I said, I'm not taking him into the new year with me. And Stephen and I talked. Now, mind you, I didn't know he was dating anybody. He tried to say he wasn't, but whatever. And we would talk every single day. And so, what happened? So, around Christmas time, and he would tell me what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. I would tell him what I'm doing. And he was saying, oh, I'm headed to the cabins with family. I was like, you head to the cabins? And my thinking is, well, we talk every day. You didn't say nothing about heading to no cabins. And that's when my radar went off. I said, he went to the cabin where they have fun. Y'all, I was so mad. And I'm like, why am I mad? Why am I upset about that? So New Year came in. So Stephen's birthday is January 3rd. So that was the first year that my mom had passed. So it was January 2nd, which is also one of my brother's birthdays. She passed on one of my brother's birthdays. And then Stephen's birthday is the next day. So, I was a little solemn that day. But the next day, I wished Stephen a happy birthday. And he was like, I said, what did you get for your birthday? He said, I want a cake. I said, I don't bake. Because I'm thinking to myself, you can get that helper that you went to the cabins with to bake your cake, because I'm not doing it. But let me backtrack just a couple of days. So on the first, my prayer partner, she sent me something, and she said, I told her Happy New Year, and she didn't reply. And I'm just like, that's strange. She always replies. And then that evening, she replied. She said, Happy New Year. She said, love is coming your way. Get ready to share your space. And you're told that so many times that you just like, okay, whatever. I was like, thank you, I received that. And I was in the shower, and the Lord said, you did not receive that. And I just started crying because I didn't. You know so many times how you hear this and you hear that word, and you're like, yeah. So then it gets so normal that you just brush it off. So I did. I just brushed it off like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And he checked me. Like, you just said that with your mouth, but your heart did not receive it. And so that's a difference. That's the difference. You have to receive it here. You have to receive that word. And he checked me, so I just cried and booed. I was like, because he was right. I was so tired of being let down. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. Knowing that she's not going to tell me something that the Lord didn't tell her, but I was so over it. So fast forward to that Saturday, I was leaving prayer. And when I was leaving prayer, I said, Lord, I surrender. I threw my hands up like this. Lord, I surrender. Whoever you have for me, I'm ready. And he said, but you told me that you were not going to bring Mr. X in the new year. I said, you're right. I did say that. So, ding, 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 ding. We can't do this. We can't do this. And because I wanted to be obedient. I wanted to be obedient to God. So then so I didn't know who it was. I wasn't like, okay, who is it, Lord? Who is it? No, I was just letting him know that I was ready. So January 15th, I was getting ready to pull out my driveway. And I forgot where the girls and I were going. But Stephen called me, and he was like, what y'all up to? And I was like, nothing. And I said, what are you up to? He said, well, me and Joshua getting ready to go bowling. He said, do y'all want to come? And the girls in the back hollering, yes, because we didn't go skating because you can't. And I was like, dang, they remembered that? So we went bowling. Whole family together, and that was it. That was it. We had a good time. We enjoyed ourselves. The kids had a good time. All the things. So then after that, we would talk. So we had our first date. February the 9th. It was right before Valentine's Day. Mind you, I had let go of Mr. X, but he was still holding on to somebody. And around the end of February, I told him, I said, let me tell you, if you need to get yourself together to find out, to get your emotions together because of your wife, I understand that. I said, but I won't, and I'll give you time for that, but I won't give you time for, to figure out who you want. I'm not doing that. If you want me or the other person, I'm not doing that. I said, because next year I will be married. Whether it's you or somebody else, I will be married. I said, now, if it's you, then congratulations to you. But if it's somebody else, then we can still be friends. I'll still love you as my friend, and we can go on by our business. He, to this day, tells people I gave him an ultimatum. No, I just knew that I was going to be married. And ain't no sense in us playing around. There's no sense in us playing around. If you want to figure out who you, I'm not doing that. But if you want to get your emotions together so you can do, because of your deceased wife, we can do that. Okay? So, of course, he made the right decision. And we started dating in March. And in June, 22nd of that same year, he proposed to me. It was a surprise. If y'all want to know about that, y'all let me know in the comments. I will definitely give you the story because it was one. And then from there, we got married in April of 2014. 4414. We were married. So that is our story. So I'll tell anybody we got married a month before my 39th birthday. So if you're thinking you're too old, don't. If you're thinking, oh, well, which one of my friends, don't do that. Just if you know that you are to be married, the Lord will prepare you. He will send that person and your way. Just make sure that you're prepared. Make sure you're prepared. Is marriage easy? No, but is it worth it? Yes. If it's worth it with the right people. You're gonna go through some things. I'm not gonna tell no lie. And especially as you get older and you get married, because you're a little settled. You know what you want. Both of you know what you want. So yeah, that comes with the territory. But it's so worth it to wait on God. It's so worth it to be obedient because He definitely knows what He has in store for you. He definitely has a plan. No matter what you think, God has a plan. He always has a plan, and His plan is better because, to be honest, I don't know anybody that could put up with me. I know y'all see me as this beautiful, sweet person, and I am. But I'm very direct. And as my husband used to tell me, I intimidated him. He said, because you're so confident. But I grew up that way. That's in me. I'm bold. I'm direct. But I'm also seasoned with grace. So when we first got married, I would say, Lord, word my mouth and season it with grace. Because Stephen was used to his friend. Now his friend is his wife. And so he knew that I could get you told real quick without even cursing you out. I could get you told. And you probably wish I would have cursed you out and left you alone. But he never experienced that. But when we got married, it was like the floodgates was open. So I would always tell God, Lord, word my mouth and season it with grace. So the Lord knows what we need. And sometimes our standards can be what we need. And sometimes it's all out of the box of what we need. There's nobody perfect. They're not going to come perfect because we're supposed to bring out that best in them. So if they're already perfect, what are we bringing out? Ask yourself that. What are we bringing out? I'm not saying you got to grow them up and do all that. No, I'm not saying that. But their destiny is attached to you. Your destiny is attached to them. And with you two together, it brings that thing about. So the Lord, just know that He has the person that you need, the person that is going to be able to handle you and deal with you, not handle you, but be able to truly deal with us. Because some of us are some strong characters, right? We have that A personality, like, nobody's business. I am love all the time. My love, my love, my love. But when he gets on when I get on his nerves, it comes to Tiffany or Tamika. He'll say, when he says Tamika, I know, okay, I done pushed the envelope. When he called me by my middle name, I know I have pushed the envelope. Like, okay, let me go sit down. But any other time, it's my love, my love, my love. Even when we're having fierce conversation, it's still my love. And I love that. I love that for us because we know how to handle each other. We were first friends, and then we became, a couple, and we became lovers. So on this Valentine's Day, I shared with you a sneak peek, a story time, if you will, of how my husband and I met. This year will be our 10th year wedding anniversary. And it's beautiful. We've had a journey, but I can say that I would not do it with anyone else. So if you have any questions, comments, leave them down in the section below. Make sure that you're following me on all social platforms under Naturally Chic. I still do plus size fashion, but this year we're going to just be well-rounded because I'm not just a fashion person. I love to give advice. I love talking. I love just encouraging people, encouraging you that love can come at any time, any age. There is no stipulation on finding that person or that person finding you. So don't box yourself in. Make sure that you're open, you're willing, you're free to love, you're able to love, and you're open to love, because you never know where love is going to come and where love is going to find you.
I just enjoy